So the following conversation is with a good friend of mine, Bryan. He has built an incredible media operation that extends across YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, all of the major platforms, and he pumps out content which is valuable at an alarming rate. And that has resulted in over 1,100 members into one of these membership programs. So there's going to be a load of value that hopefully you'll gain from this. I know I did in the conversation. So I hope you enjoy it. Let me know your thoughts or questions in the comments below. All right, enjoy. All right, Bryan.
Good to see you again.
Yes, sir. We had some good conversations off camera. We're trying to save it for now just to capture it. But yeah, just for anyone listening, just a quick intro. Bryan is in the crypto space. He teaches people how to predict markets and to trade effectively. And has a community in Indonesia, which has around 1,100 members, which is fantastic. And you know, you're one of the best traders in Indonesia, teaching the art of crypto, which is fantastic. Just in terms of the social media side of things, 150K followers across TikTok, 50K on YouTube, 30K on Instagram. So you've built up an awesome content system, an awesome audience, which is, you know, a great accomplishment. And I think
Thank you.
We just want to talk about today, you know, maybe so I can learn as well, and anyone watching, is sort of, you know, your approach to content marketing and how you've built this media operation and pump out content at such a powerful rate. Sure. I'd love to just start by asking, you know, what is your sort of approach to content marketing, maybe as like a overarching philosophy? Like,
It's okay. So first of all, thanks for the introduction. It's actually evolved over the years, and the reason I say it's evolved is A, our resources have evolved, but B, which I think is more important, is that the algorithms and how the media platforms incentivize different types of contents have also evolved over time. If I told you exactly what I do right now, it might not be the same thing we do a year from now or 2 years from now. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, our approach to making content has always been, let's just assume that I'm effectively the employee of TikTok, the employee of YouTube, the employee of Instagram, any platform that you want to get big on. Assume I'm their employee, okay? What does my boss want from me? What content do they want me to produce more of? Because if I produce the type of content that makes my boss happy, that boss should help promote me more, in theory. And so who's the boss? Well, it's the algorithms. What do they want? Back when I first started the channel, and it's called MineStack for anybody that wants to look it up. When I first started, TikTok didn't have 10-minute video formats. It was back in early 2022, right? They only had 1-minute maximum lengths. And so it was more like your YouTube shorts of today in 2024, right? So I was producing back then. So when we first launched, we did 5 long-form contents on YouTube, each around 10, 15 minutes-ish. And each of those 10-minute, call it 10-minute videos, could then be cut up into several 1-minute clips.
is that per week?
No. Right up front when we first launched.
Just launch with 5.
5 pieces. Before we ran any ads, before we ran any other types of promotion, have 5 on. And why do I have 5 on? Because when you just launch your channel for the very first time, nobody knows who you are, you don't have any subscribers, nobody's seen you. If anybody likes one piece of content on your channel, don't you think they want to see other pieces of content on your channel? And if you only did one at a time, so if you were one of those creators that I'll just make one first, test it, and then do the second one next week and so forth. Well, if you get somebody that likes your content on the first piece, there's nothing else for them to watch. They can't browse your other videos on your channel. So they're stuck there, they've moved to a different channel, different video, and the algorithms, why would they want to promote you? You didn't keep them on your channel long enough, right? And so when we first launched the channel, the first thing we did was have 5. 10, 10, 10, or 10, 15-ish. Call it 10 minutes. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. And so the theory was, if somebody liked this one, they would have 4 others to choose. So I could keep them on there for an hour-ish, right? On my channel, on my, you know, content. Now, each of those contents could then be split up into several TikToks, several Instagram Reels, several whatever, Okay, and that was the launch. Okay, now of those 5 pieces of content, one of them happened to go viral for a channel that hasn't existed before. To then get 25,000 views, that's okay, not bad. Right, so we were lucky. But my initial strategy did not rely on organic, meaning free content without any pay. So we used paid ads early on. Why? Because I already have a background in paid ads. I'm already very good at it. But we used the paid ads to then promote events and so forth and funnel into our products. But the paid ads would then drive natural traffic to the organic stuff. So it's kind of like a feedback loop that sort of fed on itself. But in the initial stages, we were actually way more focused on YouTube as opposed to TikTok, as opposed to Instagram, as opposed to Facebook, just because that was what we were more familiar with. Over time, we realized, oh shit, we're getting more followers on TikTok. TikTok's easier.
and was your TikTok literally just clips of those?
Yeah. We had no pieces of content that we created specifically for TikTok or specifically for Reels. We didn't have the manpower resources to do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the mental bandwidth to do that much.
Yeah.
So all I did was just focus on making, back then it was like at least one a week.
Okay.
One a week, 10, 20 minute-ish contents.
Yeah.
And because I was back then still effectively solopreneur, meaning I did all the editing, I did all the clipping up and all that.
Yeah.
One a week was already pretty challenging.
Yeah.
Right?
Tell me about it.
And back then we didn't really put that much effort into organic either because, again, I had a background in paid advertising. And so with paid advertising, I could just make one ad that would generate several 100,000 or several millions. Right? It eventually did make a couple million, right? So I didn't really think too much about it. But then midway through the process, our business started to gain steam and gain traction. Our paid ads were starting to get saturated, meaning we're making money and then more money into ads didn't translate to more revenue.
Right.
And so we need to expand more, and we can't do that without organic branding as well and organic reach, right? And it was at that point that I then started to focus on organic content, okay? And again, going back to what I said at the very beginning, my focus was to think of myself as the employee of the social media platform. What are they incentivizing? Midway through, TikTok started introducing long-form content up to 10 minutes. And they clearly stated, we favor more videos that are above 1 minute long. And so it was at that point when I went, well, instead of me cutting up one video 10 times, I'll just make several videos at 10 minutes each. The same video could be on YouTube, the same video could be on TikTok. You just record in landscape, edit it into a portrait, right? Done, that's your YouTube, that's your TikTok. Each TikTok could then be cut up into several shorts, several Instagram reels, blah, 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 blah. And so that's what we just kept doing, is just kept producing content that they wanted us to produce. Does that make sense? Now,
It does.
then it starts expanding to more questions like, but what type of content? But what, we can talk about that in a second, right? But as an overall picture, that was our exact approach, was to produce content in the form factor, in the length, in the appeal to which type of market that the social media platforms wanted to promote at that time. When we started, it was dance videos on TikTok. Once they launched the 1 minute plus videos, they clearly said we prefer educational videos. And so just read into it. Read what YouTube wants. Read what TikTok, they actually publish it. Just that most people don't look for it.
Yeah,
And then
that's
produce more of
awesome.
that.
Yeah, I think what you said about sort of treating them like an employer or you're an employee and you want to make sure you're hitting the right notes, you're putting the right type of content on to keep them or to keep the audience on their platform essentially, which I think is a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
So obviously that was how you got into it. What does the content approach and system look like now compared to that? Because, and then we'll go like to idea
Sure,
and that type of thing.
Sure. It's since evolved because at a certain point, so I deal in the crypto space, and most media platforms don't allow ads on cryptocurrency related stuff. And so I fully transition now to full organic, and I leave the paid stuff for more, I call it halal type topics, right? And sort of keep it that way. These days, since we already do have a following,
Yeah.
so we do have influence, and in Indonesia, I'm quite proud of the community that we built, because we are actually the only crypto group I know of that doesn't pump and dump their memberships.
So when you say pump and dump, what do you mean?
Crypto is a unique space because you don't need to be good at trading. You don't need to be a good forecaster to make money. You just need to be a good marketer.
Okay.
So a lot of, I'm not going to name names,
Yeah.
but a lot of the big names in crypto in Indonesia, they will brand themselves by buying fancy cars, by flexing, by doing all sorts of things, to look like they got rich in crypto and they're good at crypto. And so they attract a following, they get members, and the membership usually is a paid membership, and they'll usually charge upfront $1,700, $1,000 upfront money for a year or 2 year program, right? The reason they do that is because they can't actually trade. I'm not I have no hate at these people.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know them, I've never met them, couldn't give a shit. Now, I do have a problem with the fact that they are ripping off their members.
Yeah.
That I have a problem with. But on a marketing side of things, I don't mind if you sort of charge $1,700 for a year long. But the reason they do that is because they can't actually trade. They don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And so they have to collect upfront money for a year in advance.
Correct.
Because if they allowed them to test for a month, they'd quickly find out they're pretty bad, right? Now, what their method of operations is generally, okay, a massive following of members, get them in private. They'll then, it depends on the influencer. I know one that gets early in, so pre-sale access to tokens that haven't launched. We're talking crypto lingo here. So a project, a new coin will come up to them and go, hey, you're an influencer, you're really famous, here, I'm gonna give you 1 million coins at basically next to nothing, and you need to pump it at your audience. And we'll launch it at this price. So they got in at this price, at next to nothing. They're releasing it to their membership at this price. The membership cops the top price.
Pump and dump, yeah.
That's a pump and dump.
I think I've seen a few famous people do it.
Wolf of Wall Street,
Yeah.
you know, things of that nature. It's highly illegal in the financial world,
Right.
but you know, this is Indonesia, and laws don't translate exactly the same way. There's some like that. There's others that have agreements with brokerage firms. So there's another influencer. He's bold, and I don't like him at all. But and I've met him. I don't really like him, but he has agreements with brokerage firms. Where he gets a commission for every lot. That's a technical term, but basically the more members he can get with more money to take positions in trading, so futures, long futures, short positions, he gets a bigger commission. And so his incentive isn't to make his members rich, his incentive is to get his members to get as many lots as they can get. Right? And he gets a big fat commission check out of that. Right? And so a lot of these guys in the crypto space that drive nice cars and so forth, they're doing it for that purpose, and they're recruiting to then effectively turn their memberships into victims.
Well, it's interesting because you definitely see that in the business coaching space too. It's like, you know, hire a Lamborghini and put videos inside it.
Yep.
And it's interesting that, like, from a marketing standpoint, like, it's like you know, it's basically just showing people what they want. Like, even if it's subconsciously, to a lot of people, having a fast car, fancy car, having a big house equals wealth and success, and therefore it's the easiest way to just, you know, sort of build that trust up or get people into your programs, whether you have anything of value to sell or not. I mean, I think the first time I sort of saw that was that Ty Lopez guy on YouTube. He sort of walked around in his Ferrari and stuff.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm not saying it's good or bad or not. I think it depends if you have value to offer. But it's interesting from a psychological standpoint how, you know, it's the same way for personal trainers. if there's a personal trainer who pumps himself with roids and is completely jacked to the teeth, but sells a $50 program saying you'll get abs like this if you follow my program, not telling people that he juiced himself up. You know, it's that sort of the integrity sort of falls apart, and it clearly happens in crypto. It happens in the business
everywhere.
space, it happens everywhere.
I personally go for the approach of I don't like to flex my wealth. I like to flex my mind. So I've intentionally, if you look at my videos, I don't have a watch. I don't, I'm not the type of guy that bothers with, what's the point of having a Ferrari in Indonesia where you can't even cross a speed bump? Like there's ditches everywhere, there's traffic jams everywhere. Right?
I saw a Lambo the other day. I was like, bro, what? This is like sad.
I can outpace you. I can outpace you with my $2,000 bike, right? I don't give a shit.
Lambo.
But so. Before I was saying I'm proud of the fact that we grew our community that strong. A, because we are actually one of the ones that do predict and forecast crypto with high accuracy. But the second thing is I've intentionally never flexed anything to do with my wealth. I mean, I could show them how I fly on business. I could show them how I enjoy lifestyles in countries on the other side of the planet and blah, blah, blah. But it's never been a priority for me. Now, back to your original question of, but what does my system look like now? All right. I've since realized that where I'm at a point where I do have influence, now it's a quantity game. There's a direct relationship between how much I put out in terms of content with how much revenue we generate.
Okay.
Right? And so currently we produce at about 2 to 3 pieces a week, average. Sometimes we'll have spells where we do 1 a day, and then there'll be a dry spell of a week without content. But on average, we do about 2 to 3 a week. We're aiming to up that to about daily.
And so just when you say 2 to 3 per week,
that's average.
Yeah, can you just explain what that means? Is that like 2 to 3 videos per week?
No,
or is it
topics. Thank you for clarifying. So we pump one topic equals 20, 30, 40 pieces.
See, that's the key.
Yeah. So when I say 2 to 3 a week, I mean 2 to 3 topics, not videos. Because the same video could be published 30, 40, 50 times.
Yeah.
In different forms.
Yeah.
And including like this podcast right now.
Yeah.
Right? You have an hour-long piece, that's one piece. And that hour-long piece could then be turned into 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces of short 5, 10, 15-minute videos on YouTube as well. Right? The same piece. And they'll each have different headlines, different thumbnails, and so forth.
Wow.
Then you'll have the exact same 5, 10-minute videos turned into portrait TikToks. And then you'll have those broken down again to 1-minute snippets of YouTube shorts. So one hour-long podcast could potentially turn into 100 pieces, give or take. Maybe 70, maybe 60, whatever the number is. But one piece could actually turn into several tens of publishers.
Yeah.
On all these different platforms.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And so when I say 2 to 3 a week, I mean 2 to 3 topics.
Yeah.
Not videos.
Okay, so with the topics, they get cut down into 20 to 30 pieces of content. Now, does that mean you're posting on shorts multiple times per day?
Yeah.
And you're posting on reels multiple times per day?
Yes. Now, very recently, the worst platform I'm most not in tune with is actually on the Instagram, Facebook platform. And that's only because I personally don't have it on my phone. I don't like Facebook and so forth. But I recently opened it up and I was like, so currently what they're doing is they're doing carousels, which is, where they bunch up several photos and videos. And the same 10-minute piece can now be turned into a carousel of 10 videos, right? So I've since instructed my guys, hey, don't bother doing, still post your 90-second reels, but now do the exact content as the long form, YouTube, and turn it into a carousel of Instagram, and they can just swipe right to watch the entire video, right? And so we're doing that at the moment, right? And we're testing it. We're seeing does it actually improve our metrics on Instagram. But yeah, so basically, the original question was
that you answered it. So it was more just like. Like you just got that content and it's just getting posted multiple times per day across multiple different platforms.
Yes.
Now, what I find funny about that, I find funny because a lot of the people that I work with, especially when they're getting into this game or they've been in the game for a while, it's like stressing over one piece of content and sort of over analyzing that to the nth degree, trying to make it perfect. And then in a way, by the time they've published, they've spent so much time working on that one tiny piece of content, where in the same amount of time, you've probably published like 30 pieces of content, and you've learned so much more in one day than most people would learn in a month.
Sure. So I agree with that. I totally agree. I took a path, if you follow other influencers and creators and so forth, they might have their own take on it. I can only speak from my own experience, okay? And my experience is that I grew from when I first started to where I am now, my initial successes came from paid advertising. It didn't come from organic. If I were to do it again, would I focus on organic? It's not sure. But for me personally, I started in the paid advertising, and that was where I've made, in this particular business, not the other ones, in this particular crypto-related business, we made our first 6 months, 6 figures in a month, and then that went on to do a couple mil next following year, right? That was paid advertising. And the thing about paid advertising is, unlike organic, where quantity is really important. So what I mean by that is, on organic, quality is important, for sure, but only to a certain degree. To a degree where people would stick around and watch the thing, right?
Yeah, it can't just be like
it can't be recorded on a shitty microphone where you can't even hear the person, and you know what I mean?
So there's a base level of quality you need.
Yeah, but it doesn't need to be cinematic, for sure, right? It doesn't need to be perfect. You just need them to actually watch the video. Now, after that, the next benchmark becomes quantity, right? The more quantity, the more you get pushed out by algorithms. In general, not all the time. But now, with paid advertising, it's a little different. You only need one ad, one campaign to do really, really well, and that could last you for a year. Our best campaign did several, I don't know how much, I haven't actually done the math, but for sure 7 figures.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. And it was just one ad. We recorded it in March 2022, and it lasted all the way to 2023 sometime, I forget when.
Yeah.
Right. So it lasted a really, really long time. Now, if I was a single solopreneur startup guy,
yes,
I'm my own team, I don't have staff, we have a pretty solid team, so I can do one a day now.
Yeah.
One topic a day. But if I was starting from scratch, totally from zero, I would consider inserting paid advertising as a strategy in tangent, in addition to all the organic stuff. Because I understand that the organic stuff, A, it's daunting. It's quite, if you've never done it, you're like, oh, am I perfect, blah, blah, blah. B, you don't get paid immediately on organic.
Yeah.
Your first organic post could do 10 views, 5 views.
Yes, correct.
And like, that's quite disheartening if you're a startup guy on your own. On paid advertising, you pay for your traffic. But the thing is, you have an immediate feedback system. Meaning, if I spend $10, did I make 50? Right. That's exactly, I can show you, and if you want, I can send it to you. February 1st, 2022. That was the day we launched MineStack, our Indonesian brand, on crypto. My advertising budget, I think from memory, about 100,000 rupiah, which is the equivalent of $7 US. Somewhere there. First day, no revenue. Second day, I think we bumped it about $14 US-ish, so about 200,000 rupiah. And that returned around about $80 US. So like a 6x or something like that. So there's an immediate, I spent 20 to get 100, for example. Now if $20 generated 100, what do you think I'm going to do tomorrow? Spend 100. Because I made 100, I'm going to spend 100.
Okay.
And see if 100 made 500.
Yes.
Oh, it did. Okay. Next day, I'm going to spend 500 and see if it made 2,500. No, it only made 1,800. But it's still a profit. So, okay, the next day I'm going to spend 1,800. That made 6,000. Okay, so the next day I'm going to spend 6,000. Oh, okay, it only made 10,000. Okay, so I'm going to scale it back to maybe about 3,000, 4,000. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you'll find a saturation point where you
Okay.
can't spend more and still get 3x, 4x,
Okay.
5x. Right.
Interesting.
That's the paid ad strategy that I use.
Yeah.
So there's an immediate feedback. People think paid ads, high risk, high budget, bullshit. No, it's not. 20 bucks, 30 bucks, that's all you need.
Wow.
Did you make 100? No? Redo your entire campaign. Right?
Well,
fix your website, fix your ad.
Yeah. It's something you said to me the other day was like a good way to look. Again, it's another way that you look at the platforms, but in the ads side of things, you look at the platforms like they're your affiliate.
Correct.
Do you want to just sort of explain what you said on that?
I'm not sure if this is going to confuse the... Let's see how we go, okay? And you guys can comment if you need clarification. So earlier I just said I'm the employee of the social media platforms for the organic stuff. And when I say organic, I mean it's the free stuff. I'm not paying for ads. I want views. I want virality, right? So I'm the employee of the social media company. But when it comes to me paying for ads, I'm the boss and the social media is my affiliate, right? You heard of network marketing business models? You've heard of affiliate, so ClickBank, JV Zoo, any of that stuff, right? Affiliate marketing. The affiliate gets how much?
20 odd percent.
20%. A good one would be 30, 40%, somewhere there, right? So my approach has always been, Facebook, you are now my affiliate. YouTube, you're now my affiliate. TikTok, you're my affiliate. I'm paying you my budget on a product that doesn't have a physical form, so e-commerce, e-learning products, live events, courses, etc. There's no cost of production for the good itself. I want a 3x minimum, meaning I'm willing to pay 33% to my affiliate. Facebook, YouTube, etc. Right? Disclaimer, I'm not affiliated with YouTube, Facebook ads or anything, so don't ban my account yet, but that's my mindset.
You have to have that in the footer of the sales page. For those of you that don't know, it's an explanation for another day.
Yeah. But that's my mindset coming into it. And so as long as when I spent $100, I make 300 or more, then that's within my affiliate benchmark.
Yeah.
If Facebook, YouTube, etc. takes more than that, so I put out 100 and I'm only getting $150, $200, they took too big of a check on their commission.
Okay.
Commission, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And so I pull it back.
Yeah.
Right. Or I need to look at my funnel and go, how do I improve it so that I can afford to do that?
Yes.
And so at the end of the day, it's who's the advertiser that is willing to pay the most to their affiliate, Google, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, that gets the most reach.
Okay.
When you understand that, then you understand it's actually, in order to succeed in paid advertising, you can't do it with $50 products. You can do it as a tripwire, you can do it as your first offer, but through the whole funnel, through the whole experience of taking your customer through, you need your customer to pay you what, $500, $1,000, $2,000 and up to really get into your multiple seven figures.
Okay.
If you're only collecting $50, $100, you can't compete with the other guys, the other advertisers that are collecting $2,000 to get into multiple seven.
Yeah. All right, that's super interesting and valuable. Maybe that's a double click for another interview because I just want to bring it back to content for a second.
Go for it.
So now that you're running the media operation, you've got your 3 topics going up to 1 topic a day where you're just going to be, sort of getting yourself out there. Obviously, that is the system that runs, but the system needs fuel in the form of ideas and what the heck the topics are that you're speaking about. So, can you talk to me about the creative process leading up to that?
Let's ask my videographer what he thinks. How do I make my content?
Just random thing.
Random idea.
Did you hear that? I'm not a storyboard guy.
Okay.
I can't script. I can't plan. I can't use a teleprompter. It's not me. Now, some people need that. Some people need the teleprompter. I've never been that guy. I've always been the wing it, say what's on my mind, and it'll come. Right? Now, that part, I think it's not everybody fits that bill, so I can't say you should do that too.
Yeah.
But it's literally, so in terms of scripting, it's completely improvised. In terms of how my brain thinks, though. I try to think in terms of segmented topics is the best word I can describe it. And this is improvised, so I haven't actually thought of a good name for it. What do I mean by that? I'm aware that if I produce content that's too niche, I can't appeal to the masses. And so I can't go viral. Right. But if I produce content that's too broad market, cat videos, right? I can't sell shit. Because it'll go viral, but nobody's going to buy anything out of a funny cat video. Right. And so there's this fine balance. Yeah. Now, most people have the, I would call it incorrect assumption, but some people might disagree. The incorrect assumption that every single video has to be both viral and targeted. I have a different view on it. And it's not a view, I've tested it and it's worked for me. And that is, I see my content library as a wholesome strategy. Meaning, out of 10 videos, how many of them were designed to be viral? How many of them were designed to convert? They're not always going to be exact fit for each other, meaning I can't cross them over every single time. And so currently what we're doing is every 3 or 4 videos will be a video designed to appeal to everybody I can appeal to that has an interest in money.
Okay.
Because my niche is crypto and it's money related.
Yeah.
Right. And so it'll be topics like how the US dollar is on its way to decline, BRICS is taken over, blah, blah, blah. So there's this decline of the old empire of the US dollar and the rise of a new empire, right? That's a topic that would appeal to millions.
Yeah.
And it does appeal to millions. You can see it on our TikTok, right? So every 3 or 4 pieces will be a content that has a broad market appeal, has zero intention of converting anybody to be a customer.
Okay.
It has every intention of reaching a wider audience, being relatable, being relevant, and out of 1.4 million that watched that particular video as of today, there will be about 100,000 that are ideal to be my customers, right? So now I've got their attention. I just got to convert them. And so that's video 2, 3, 4, 5. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That is 100% related to just crypto. These are the predictions we just did for the last 2 weeks. These are the proofs in our Telegram channel. That's this coin going up 6x. That's this coin. I said this one would go down at $65,000, $68,000 Bitcoin to 57-ish. But even if it doesn't hit 57, you got to go all in by 7th of October. That was a formal prediction we made. And it came true, right? Prices rocketed up. So those types of videos, that will never appeal to millions because most people that think of crypto is like, oh, trading, money game, high risk, blah, 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 blah. So I understand that those videos would only do 10,000, 20,000, 40,000 views. But guess where my money is made? It's in those videos. 100 members a week, 200 members a week. They come from those videos. The 1.4 million videos, 1.4 million view videos, they don't translate to business.
Yeah.
But they do translate to reach,
Yeah.
virality, relevance, engagement, etc.
Yeah.
And so I see it as a wholesome approach. I see it as don't try to aim for every single video to be both viral and highly profitable, but see your content as like an experience.
Okay.
Where you're taking them through a journey. And now we're at the stage where a lot of people commenting on our videos are like, I've been following MineStack for years and years and years, and they're so much better than blah, blah, blah. And now we're getting fans. Now we've got a cult following. Inside the paid group, if I type in English, so I could actually send you screenshots, but they're literally, and I discourage this, but I can't help them doing it. They kind of see me like a prophet. They actually literally say, you're like a prophet from the future. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just a guy who's good at statistics and numbers. Don't treat me like a prophet. Never trust anybody blindly, right? But I can't help the fact that they still do that, right? And that's because we have consistency.
Yeah. So important.
Yes.
You actually said this the other day. It was like, to sort of summarize your system, it's like a multi-dimensional approach to content, which, I think it makes so much sense. And, I guess my other question to you is like, you focus, it seems like your approach is is to dial in and do the in-depth, longer form content is where the content is created. That then gets spread out and filtered out everywhere
Yes.
else. And so obviously,
Now, as resources expand, that might change in the future.
yeah,
When the brand expands to not just being about me, but
Yes.
a group of people,
Yeah.
well, then that opens the door to a good-looking, sexy young lady who's got a personality to then create targeted shorts only or TikToks only or whatever only type
Yeah.
content. But that comes when resources expand.
yeah,
At the moment, with the resources we currently have available, that's the biggest bang for buck.
okay,
And so it's all about being resourceful,
yeah,
going with what you got. Somebody who's just started out, single solopreneur, one-man show, you can't do what I do.
No.
You can't do one a day.
no,
And you shouldn't aim for that,
yeah.
right?
You got other stuff to do.
Aim for just one paid ad that you make that one video, it's 2 minutes long, funnels down to a website and a whole funnel system over there that generates your first 6 figures. Then hire a team. You know, hire your 5 editors, hire your whatever.
Yeah.
Get your fancy equipment,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's interesting. For me, it's like I've got an editor, and then I'm the other editor basically, and I'm
Sure.
shooting the content. So I'm like behind hustling, and you know, I can feel that to a large degree, I am a bottleneck in
Yes.
how much content I can produce, and sort of if I was to focus on that quantity, because, you know, it's a yeah, and like I can leverage things like technology, like we teach like
True.
Descript, which is a fantastic editor.
Yep.
Which now, you know, they're updating constantly, and so they have a really good system where you edit your long form into it, and then they clip it down, and then you can obviously go in and tweak because it's not perfect, but it's really good at finding the best clips, and so you can at least get 6 to 7 clips of one YouTube video, and then you can go and reformat it and edit it, and so. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think that's going to be my next thing, sort of hearing this content approach. But so I know you said you do it sort of intuitively. You go off the cuff. You just have a sense for what the broader market want to hear, and then what you think is going to convert. And usually that's stuff that's, you know, obviously more related to your product.
I think the best skill to develop to build that instinct is definitely an experience in sales and an experience in public speaking.
Yes.
You see, before MineStack, I already had businesses and still have businesses in real estate and in digital marketing and consultancy.
Yeah.
Right. And through those experiences in those businesses, I was very frequently on stage, like pretty much twice a week.
Wow.
On stage talking in front of people.
Yeah.
Right. And so through 2 years worth of weekly, twice a week public presentations on stage, it just, you build that instinct of, okay, what am I saying where the audience is switching off, they're checking their phones, they want to get out of the room? And what am I saying that's getting them on the edge of their seats and really taking notes and so forth? And so you have an instinct and also direct feedback on, if I say X, the audience will react X. If I say Y, the audience will react Y, right? And it's also through that you know, if you have an experience in sales, one-on-one, door-to-door type sales, then you should have very good interpersonal skills one-on-one. But when you go to public speaking, you're talking to 100, 1,000, or whatever number of people, but you're treating them as one person as well.
Yes.
Right. And it's not a big step to go from 100, 1,000 people to 300 million Indonesians. To then go, what is the average 300 million person interested in? And so then you start dissecting and going, okay, let's look at the demographics. The average age is, so Google, average age Indonesian, it's around about 30 years old. Average IQ of Indonesia, 78.49, somewhere there. What are the biggest industries? What are the biggest things of that nature? How do they live their lifestyle? And then you'll have a profile of the average, right? And for me, it's low IQ, and I don't say that discriminatorily. I mean, objectively, you Google it, they have a low IQ. Person that likes to receive benefits from governments and so it's not an entrepreneurial mentality. It's more of a I want things given to me type mentality, and so create content that appeals to that.
Do you have an example of like a hook you would have used to appeal to that market?
One of our top videos was talking about, and that was completely improvised. But I said the hook was. Now I have to translate from Indonesian to English here. Something along the lines of, I'm going to talk about something that's quite bitter and it's a distasteful truth, but it's something that I have to talk about if I have the interest of not growing the country of Indonesia, but the population of Indonesia. And that truth is the fact that the average IQ of Indonesia is only 78.49. You're stupid. That's the truth. But more important than the truth is, why are you stupid? It's not because you're lazy. Most Indonesians have the sincere intention of working hard, but it's because of something else. And to find the answer, you have to Google something else. You've Googled what the average IQ is, it's 78.49. Now Google the top 50 richest Indonesians. What industries did they make their money in? And you'll find that more than half of them made their wealth in natural resources, be it from mining, from agriculture, from getting fish out of the ocean, from getting iron out of the ground, etc. It's all natural stuff. Now, that's a bit unique, isn't it? Because if you look at a country like, say, America, a lot of the big rich people there, they had to innovate some sort of technology or system to get rich. iPhone, space rocket, SpaceX, blah, blah, blah. It involved a lot of thinking power to get rich, right? And a lot of systems and complex processes. With Indonesia, you don't need anything complex. You just get a machine that pulls fish out of the ocean, pulls whatever out of the ground, sell it for billions of dollars. How come 300 million Indonesians aren't rich like the Qatars, like the Saudis, where you see Lambos and Ferraris day in, day out? How come the average Indonesian is struggling to buy tofu and rice every single month? It's systematic. And so that was the hook.
So what I love about that is, you're clearly taking a very strong stance and a point of view that is going to emotionally affect people. 300
million.
Yeah. So, and in a way, you could learn from that. It's like you have a strong perspective on that topic you're talking on, and for anyone watching, they're going to feel emotions. Either they're going to scroll away from it, or the people that stick around, they're going to be like, dang, he's actually speaking to me right here.
Yes.
He understands my situation almost better than I do. And I can't even articulate this myself, but he's articulating what I'm subconsciously thinking, potentially.
Correct. And it ended up being a content that was shared by lecturers and people at the university level were actually sharing that at their campuses. But it was never intended as that. It was just, I want to make videos that 300 million people would switch on to.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't mean I'll hit 300 million, but I know there will always be a certain percentage.
Yes.
But that's an example of the approach that I was talking about. And then once you have that attention, now you've got awareness and you're out there, then funnel down to, okay, how do I take that person that I've exposed myself to then go, hey, you want to get more richer, right? Well, let me help you with that.
Amazing, bro. That's awesome. All right, man. So I think just sort of key takeaways, like really are the fact that, for anyone who's watching there is to consider a paid acquisition strategy.
Yeah, paid advertising, for sure.
Especially if you're, you don't really have a big audience.
Yeah.
Because the difficulty of sort of launching raw organic is that the likelihood is you're going to see 4 or 5 views.
Yes.
I did that. That's what happened to me.
There's a guy called, and I've only been exposed to him recently. I think his name is Myron. And he did an episode once, and he was saying, I grew to $50 million with 0 paid ads. Okay. It was purely organic first. And if you already have an existing business, you already have resources, you already have income to be able to do organic only first, I totally agree. 100% agree. If you already have the resources to bleed first, and make organic that it's only going to get 100 views, 1,000 views in the initial stages, right? And you're not making money at all, you're actually losing money. Sure, 100% agree. Do organic first, get big there, and then do paid ads.
Yeah.
But if you're a solopreneur, you're struggling to get by. You're depending on this month's paycheck or this month's results to afford your rent and pay your bills. Are you sure you can run the marathon of doing organic, which would probably take a year,
Maybe more.
maybe more?
Most times more, because you have to learn the skill of
Correct.
talking and editing
Correct.
and staying consistent.
Now, if you can't afford that marathon, then paid ads is where I would say you should go.
Okay.
So it's a situational thing.
Yeah.
I explained what I went through. It doesn't mean that my way is the correct way for everybody.
Yeah, 100%. I think where a lot of people get scared when it comes to ads is they've been burnt, or they've done it and they've not seen any return, and because they didn't have a big amount of money they could spend into it, because they screwed up on the first time, they're like, oh, that's just a waste of money.
I spent 2,000 Australian dollars on my first Facebook ad campaign and got just likes and thumbs up and whatever, you know, no conversions, nothing.
Yeah.
But I've since learned specific processes, specific systems, specific numbers and metrics. And now it's down to the point where I will make money with $10 to $20 of ad spend pretty much every single time. And then from that $10, $20 initial investment, I can grow it to several 6-7 figures. Every single time, hands down.
All right, so maybe if you guys want to see a video on that topic and what the funnels look like and the strategy and the system behind that, potentially we can do that. So yeah, let us know if that's something you want to do.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that's great, man. Thank you for sharing that,
You're welcome.
that information. It's hugely valuable and inspirational as well. So thank you.
Thank
brother.
you. It was a pleasure. See you guys next time, yeah?
Cheers.
Bye.